For my banner today, we're focusing on an ongoing impasse, well, seemingly very subtle as it is, between the Ghana Football Association and the Ministry of Sports, if not the Minister of Sports. But more importantly, how did we get here? And what could be the repercussions there are in the short to medium term on football in our country? But we seem to have gotten the right people. Mamavi Osuabuaje spoke to the Minister for Youth and Sport, who is also Member of Parliament for the Diodio constituency, Ni Lante van der Poel. We'll bring you that very interview in a bit. But helping us do the discussions and do some clarifications or bring some clarity to the subject is the Communications Director of the Ghana Football Association, our own man, Sonny Dara. Thanks for joining me, bro.
Thank you very much. Good morning.
Good to have you.
Thank you.
We know that there's been ongoing speculation, but counter-accusations from both sides. And right now it seems that there seems to be some subtle feud between the GFA and the Ministry of Sport, so to speak.
Well, yes. Somebody would say the gloves are off. Yes, indeed, the relationship between the ministry and the Ghana Football Association is not one of the best. We were subjected to several public attacks by the minister, even before he took office. And the attacks have been various. We kept a very, very respectful silence towards the minister because of the position, because he was appointed by the president of the country. However, despite all the promptings in private about the conduct, about his conduct, his utterances, and what that could potentially do for football in this country, the attacks continued unabated. From the GFA is not transparent, to the GFA is unaccountable, to GFA members are indisciplined, to several attacks on the players, even the coach of the Black Stars, to the extent that he said his son can even coach the Black Stars. Then it got worse by him describing the Ghana Football Association as cow dung. When a dry cow dung is nice on the surface but rotten beneath with maggots. Then we realized that publicly we had to respond. The GFA thrives on corporate sponsorship. If the minister or the sector minister of that industry paints the federation as that, which corporate body would be interested in supporting us? And basically that is what we thrive on. We don't receive any government support. We don't get any funding from government whatsoever. We run our affairs on our own. So if it gets to the bare level where the minister himself is tearing down what we have built, the successes we have chalked over the past 10 years, it was important that at a point we should respond to what he was saying on radio.
And in responding, it means that you've been going back and forth, almost like now a very much well-known banter between the two organizations, or the two of you?
Well, some of them we have to respond. When somebody says you are not transparent, the person is telling the business community that don't deal with them. Secondly, there's this issue about paying bribes to match officials. That is hugely damaging for the country.
Well, I monitor those reports too.
Exactly. If the Minister of State, even suggests that the country pays bribes to match officials, one, we could cut an international ban. Two, it will be very, very disgraceful to the country. Three, if indeed that was the case from the minister, who pays them? It is government that pays them. Therefore, is the minister saying that, the country, the leader of the country is paying bribes? It was important that we came out. The newspapers in Egypt, who we play in the World Cup qualifiers, went haywire about it. Ghana are paying bribes. Let's be careful.
Well, I remember I monitored Al Ahram online. And
yes.
They also put something, and Al Ahram is one of the biggest newspapers you can ever find.
Exactly. Al Ahram is one of the biggest newspapers in Egypt. So if they have covered this news, it was important that we came out to debunk it and to set the record straight. And then he continued to the point that he said the Ghana Premier League was unattractive. In fact, that went as a huge blow to the entire federation, because this year's league has been the most competitive we've seen in many, many years. Even to the point that the match between Hearts of Oak and Kotoko in Accra raked in 400,000 Ghana cedis. That is more than $100,000 for a local football game. And what you would expect is for the minister, for the sector to say, you know, you've done well, maybe there are maybe lapses here, let's patch it up. And you say that it's unattractive.
Well, we'll come back. We spoke to the minister, fortunately for us, and Mamavi Usobwaje did that, just to get some clarity on the subject. So we would want you also to listen to him, watch him, and then we can have some reaction to some of the things he said.
Absolutely.
But now that very interview with Neelante van der Poy, Minister for Youth and Sports.
Honorable, we've heard that our foreign players who are coming down to play with Rwanda over the weekend will have to take care of their own air tickets because the ministry has refused to pay for the tickets.
Well, thank you very much. First, let me say it's unfortunate because that's not what the ministry said. Mamavi, you know, we are the situation whereby we have limited amount of resources. That is even not able to take care of all the sporting disciplines we have. So if by the grace of God, we'll be able to secure qualification to the Africa Cup of Nations with a game to spare, it is important that within the limited resources, we prudently manage what we have in order to take care of other competing demands. We have just within 2 weeks the national under-17 women's team competing at the world stage. We have the national Paralympic team which has qualified for the Paralympic Games in Brazil next 2 weeks. We also have the World Cup qualifying match against Uganda coming up early October. Within these competing demands and with the limited resources we have, as managers of the resources of this ministry, we should be able to take the best decision that will be the interest of Mother Ghana and all the disciplines. So we decided that since we've already qualified for the Cup of Nations, it's going to cost us almost over $200,000 to procure tickets for the foreign-based players to come and play against Rwanda. Why don't we save this money and instead use it to pay for the tickets of the maidens who are going to Jordan to compete at the world stage? Because the Rwanda match will not have any significant bearing on our qualification to the Cup of Nations.
But these are the same players who have been playing in the qualifiers all this while.
Yes, and we've already qualified. They've played. We supported them. They've played and qualified us. At this point in time, we are saying that give opportunity to other players who have not played throughout this qualifying series so that we can save money to take care of your junior sisters who are going to play at the World Cup and also have something small to send our 3 Paralympics to the Paralympic Games so that they can win medals for this country.
Are you saying that all these other activities you didn't budget?
We didn't. The ministry budgeted for almost all its programs, but like always the same, you won't get what you budgeted for. So it is for you to be able to manage what you get within the programs you have in order to make impact. Where you have to fall on other sources to supplement whatever you have, fine. I think that at this moment in time, we should be looking at the national interests than group or individual interests.
Well, what I've heard some officials from the GFA also say is that this was communicated really late.
I don't want to say we got the letter for their budget late. When last week they brought their budget request, last week. Meanwhile, I have discussed this with the management committee of the Black Stars informally about 2 weeks ago. When the list came out last week, I again called the chairman of the Black Stars management committee, who is the vice president of the FA, and again reiterated our decision at this ministry that can you free us the resources that we will have expended on the foreign-based players, so we could use these resources to take care of the maidens and also prepare adequately for the upcoming World Cup qualifying for the Black Stars.
So obviously this was a suggestion.
It's a suggestion.
So why have you carried through that suggestion, which
We've
was
carried
supposed to
through.
be
We've carried through that
discussed?
suggestion because within our means, that is the best thing for us to do.
But obviously the GFA is not happy about this because some of the players are still coming down. And I heard this afternoon that Andrea Yu had offered to pay for the ticket of those who couldn't afford.
Well, I will be happy if almost all the Black Stars players will say, we are ready to pay for our own ticket. We'll come and play free for Mother Ghana. I've been calling for sacrifices. I've been calling for patriotic duties and responsibilities on behalf of all our sportsmen and women. The Olympians who went to Olympic Games recently, throughout the competition they were there, they had not then received their per diems and they didn't grumble. Some of them got their per diems after the tournament. They've taken it. That is support for the cause, goodwill for the people of Ghana, and also for the ministry. And I think that if Dede Ayo is my own son, he's a patriotic citizen of this country. If he decides that he will want to support at this time by paying his own fare in and out, and also taking care of the winning bonuses of the rest of the players, I'll be happy. I'll write a letter to thank him and to congratulate him.
So this is to say that even if they found their own means of coming to Ghana, you're not going to pay the bonuses?
We don't have the budget. We don't have the budget for it.
But if you're fielding local players, would you give them bonuses?
We would have had a very limited amount of money. If the foreign-based players are ready to take what we will have given to the local-based players, fine. But we are not going to pay any plane ticket.
What is happening now between the ministry and the GFA? Is it not just going to, fuel, if you like, or deepen the already seeming division between the ministry and the GFA?
Why should there be? But the Black Star players have nothing to do with what is happening between the ministry and the GFA. What? Unless there is somebody at the FA who say, I am intentionally and willfully going to sabotage the facilitation of my responsibility with the Black Stars. Other than that,
this idea, I'm sure a lot of people would say, fantastic idea. We're using our own local players to play a game that lose or win.
Well, you see, the most interesting thing is that we are going to play against Rwanda. All the players of the Rwanda national team play in their local league.
Why?
Are we saying that the Rwandan players that are coming to play for the Rwandan national team are so better than the players who play in our local league? So we have to bring down all these our foreign-based players to play against Rwanda. Is that what we are saying?
So why haven't you been able to agree with the GFA on this? Because this sounds very reasonable.
Well, when I made the proposal, it was my expectation and the issues that we're going to discuss with the coach, and we'll get back to you. Then I saw the list come out, and I expressed my worry about it because I thought that I've given a wonderful suggestion in the interest of Mother Ghana, and I was expecting to get a feedback on that. I didn't get a feedback. But you see, people are forgetting one thing. I am taking a decision that will protect the players. When these are stars, we have an impending World Cup qualifying against Uganda, a country we've always had problem with in football. Will you want to play Uganda with your full strength or not? What about if these our stars come down to play against Rwanda? Rwanda have nothing to lose in this match. And they come butchering our players. And we get 5 or 6 of our stars injured. They will not be available for the Uganda match. So the decision we are taking will even protect our players. 2, the European season has just started. A lot of these our players, by the grace of Almighty God, are featuring in their teams. He comes to play this match, God forbid, he gets injured. he will have lost his position in his team. He will also not be available for us to use against Uganda. So why don't we rest these players, give them enough time to prepare and rest for the match against Uganda? We hit Uganda, we hit Egypt, and then we are through to the World Cup.
So clearly the GFA is not going with your plan. Foreign players are coming. Do you care about the match?
Well, I care so much about the match, and I think Ghana, we've even done that before. We've achieved it. Jones Atuquefi within 3 days assembled a class of 4 players to play against the then almighty Nigeria, and we drew.
How do you intend, unless you don't see that there's a problem, how do we resolve this?
I don't.
Because we hear of things happening almost every day between the ministry and the GFA.
It's because people think that they can still do things the way they want to do things. I want to make sure that we do things differently to achieve better impact and better results.
What's the relationship between yourself and the Black Stars Management Committee?
Wonderful. Wonderful. They were in this office, all the big men. My senior brother, Mr. Ernest Thompson of Senate, was here. My one gentleman called Uncle Abrapia was here. Jones Abu Alansan was here. The vice president of the FA and the chairman of the Black Stars Management Committee, George Afriye, was in the team. We had a wonderful discussion. Subsequent to that, I've also had a meeting with the representative of the various other management committees. They came with that. We discussed the whole program because we have series of matches now. The maidens, immediately the maidens finish, the queens are going for Africa Women's Championship. The princess are going for the World Championship. All within October, November. So whatever resources we have now, we must make sure that we prudently manage it in such a way that we may not be found wanting in a much more competitive matches ahead of us. And not this one when we have already qualified.
Okay, so, the final thing is you're sticking to not releasing any funds to take care of any foreign player.
I'm not going to compromise on that, because unless somebody says that I have all the money, come and take it. If I should get the money now, that will take care of all the programs we have now until January. Then I can say, fine. We can let the Black Stars, the foreign-based players come and play. We'll pay for their business class tickets. They come and play, and we'll pay them the bonuses we've agreed to pay them.
Thank you for your time.
Pleasure.
Neil Antivanderpoy is the Minister for Youth and Sports, speaking to Mamavi Osabwaje. And we have to help us do justice or have some conclusions for the next, I believe, 18 minutes on this very subject. Sandy Dara, Director for Communications at Ghana Football Association. And you heard some of the things that he raised. For example, the day we'll be playing, will not be playing, but will be paying for some of his colleagues who will not be coming, who couldn't have afforded the tickets, etc. But that also shows that you two, in terms of you as a body and the ministry as a, you haven't communicated very well. Well, the communication gap seems to be very wide, isn't it?
Well, the thing is that the minister has decided to communicate to the FA through WhatsApp groups and radio stations. This concept he espoused so well, we only heard about it on Thursday on a radio station, and the radio station had read it on a WhatsApp platform.
I see.
And there are rules for inviting players, be it home-based players or abroad. FIFA's rules are that you should give the teams a 14-day notice.
Okay, whether they are local
or foreign-based. So
because a football club is a football club.
It's a football club. So if it goes beyond the 14 days, the club can say, I won't release the player, and there's nothing you can do. Now, we got to know that we've qualified already 3 months ago. And the minister himself said that we have a World Cup qualifier against Congo coming up. And in these days, you don't have any opportunity of gathering your players to help them bond and train before a match. So matches like this, even though we have qualified, are the avenue for you to try your players before the qualifiers. we don't have these opportunities. Perhaps if the minister had communicated with us 3 months ago, it is something we could discuss with the coach and even discuss with the minister that, look, these are what it is. Then we'll come to a conclusion and come with a united front. But when you pass these messages on WhatsApp groups and radio stations, how do you expect us to respond? And in this very last minute, you cannot make changes to the squad.
Okay.
So you are forced to make do with it. And if we don't play the match, one, we'll be banned for the African Cup of Nations for 2017, which we have qualified for, and two, we'll be banned for the 2019
well, we cannot
tournament.
say we're not going to honor the match, can
Exactly.
we? Okay. But I have also heard you, personally, heard you speak on many media platforms, especially on this very subject.
Yes.
And sometimes you've sounded very derogatory, Sonny.
No. I mean,
the language you've used, the words you've used,
well,
not in very good taste, Sonny.
Well,
very much unlike Sonny Dara.
Well, what has precipitated this is the way the minister himself, like the cow dung analysis he made of the Ghana Football Association, is what
So you decided to reply him in his own coin?
No, to put it in the right ways. I mean, for instance, recently the local Black Stars played against Japan. I had a call from one of the radio stations, and we were told, the question to me was that you took the national team, the minister has said you took the national team to Japan without his knowledge. And that is a lie. How do you want me to put it? It's a lie.
Well, that is not true. That sounds more diplomatic.
Exactly. Okay, that is
communications director. You're supposed to make sure
that is not true. But the person knows that it is not true, yet he made it to the public. What are the motives?
Do you think the minister is about to witch hunt you, the Football Association?
I think the jury is out there for the public to decide. The public must decide on this. But even before he took office, from the day he was vetted up to today, he has subjected the GFA to several attacks.
Okay.
And the history is well documented since 2009.
Well, the minister would not be the only one who criticizes the Football Association, to the point that we've been told the Football Association doesn't do well in organizing the league adequately or the football setup in our country adequately. As a result of that, the sport doesn't attract enough sponsorships.
I
guess the minister is only playing to the whole scheme.
It's absolutely not true.
Do you have a sponsorship for the league?
We do have a sponsorship.
Who?
We have a television sponsor in SuperSport.
Which brings in enough revenue?
No, not enough revenue.
That's not headline sponsor.
Yes. But that said, we had a sponsor until the eve of the start of the competition when it pulled out. The league has a value of not less than $3 million. And to get $3 million sponsorship is no child's play. However, the duty of the minister is not to damage the brand. Imagine
that's your worry as a footballer.
Exactly. Imagine that the trade minister of Ghana says that a product like, let's say, Voltic, which sells in neighboring countries, or Blue Skies, I've seen in the shelves in London, is unattractive. What would happen to that minister? It's tantamount to the minister saying a similar thing about us. And for us, these continuous attacks, sometimes we've prompted him. A lot of our elders have gone to him to speak with him.
Which of your elders?
A lot of them. Mr. Ernest Thompson, Mr. Ofosuban.
You mean the more older wigs in the football fraternity?
Yes, have gone to him to talk to him. He said he will stop the next 2 days. He throws another salvo. So it looks like...
So the two of you are throwing salvos at each other?
No, we are not throwing salvos.
How did we come to a truce on this very subject?
Well, the minister must decide that he's a father for all. And he wants to support the growth of all sport, not to isolate all sport and demonize football. After all, football is the only sport in this country that brings revenue to the Ministry of Youth and Sports. All of our clubs pay revenue to the Ministry for Youth and Sports. One, for the maintenance of the stadia in this country. Two, we pay VAT on all the matches we play in this country. So far, this season, we have paid more than 2 billion old Ghana cedis in VAT alone.
You mean 200,000?
200,000 Ghana cedis in VAT alone. Apart from the monies given to the ministry to maintain the stadia, all the other sports in this country train, do whatever at the stadia for free. Even these Black Stars we are talking about, they bring revenue. they take gate proceeds. We don't see 1 CD of it. So won't we say that we are going back to the bad old days of when players had to pay for their ways to come to the national
back
team?
In the early 90s
exactly.
and throughout the 90s
exactly.
and the early part of 2000.
We departed from that, and that brought us huge successes. Is this where we want to go back to?
Is it not also possible, because it's the Kwesi Nyantakyi administration coming to continue something perhaps from his predecessors, which, and we have to credit him, streamline the relationship between the GFA and also the ministry as far as their commitments are, and also structured football adequately. You're also taking advantage of that and trying to pay the minister back whenever perhaps the ministry has a certain concern.
Well,
because all the minister is saying they are genuine concerns, aren't they?
Absolutely not all of them. If a minister has a concern and you are the sector minister, is the radio stations the place to address these concerns?
You mean you have no formal means of communicating with him?
He has formal means. Anytime he has called us,
but you're saying he doesn't use the formal means?
He doesn't use the formal means.
Okay.
He takes to radio stations.
The minister was raising a certain suggestion that we've already qualified. I mean, if you look at the log.
Yes.
So we could have just experimented with our local players. Why
now,
not that?
What prevented the minister from communicating this thing to us 3 months ago when we qualified? But only waited for 3 days before the players started arriving.
Are you sure you never knew about it?
Never knew about it. We heard it on the radio station.
You mean formally? You mean formally you never knew about it? But informally you had heard?
We heard on WhatsApp platforms.
That's informal?
Yes.
So at least you were aware.
How do you act on informal information? You have to get things official. Up till yesterday morning, we had not received a communique on that.
Okay. So now the players are in?
Yes, the players.
They paid for their own tickets?
They paid for their own tickets. Andrea, you paid for some, about 7 of them. So that is where we are now.
I see. Okay, so they'll be honoring the match this very weekend?
Yes, they'll be honoring the match on Saturday. Kickoff time is at 3:30 p.m.
Who paid their bonuses?
Well, we've not gotten there. The players have not spoken about bonuses whatsoever.
Well, they will speak about it. Who will pay their bonuses, Sanidara?
Well, I don't know. The players have said that they are committed to their country. It's the reason why they've paid to come. Any which means whether it's local players or foreign players playing, you would have bonuses to pay for them.
Okay. We hope that you find some amicable resolution to...
We hope so too.
The impasse you have with the Ministry of Youth and Sport. It's not too good for our football.
It's not too good.
Because we love football.
Of course.
And we all love you, Sanidara.
Yeah, thank you very much.
All right. And Sanidara is the Director of Communications for the Ghana Football Association. Great conversation we've had from the perspective of the Minister of Youth and Sports, Nilante van der Poy, and also from the perspective of the GFA. And Sunny has to go to radio. He's all over this morning, and he's on. He's going to speak to the issues. But right now, we also have to continue the issues hitting a community near you. And my colleague Derek Ekosam decided to do that. We're roving this morning on this very subject. We would want to relay information per what you are saying on the street of Accra as to the current impasse between the Ghana Football Association and the Ministry of Youth and Sports.
There's this seeming rift between the Ghana Football Association and the Ministry of Youth and Sports as to whether or not the ministry should fund the air tickets for the Black Stars to come play the game against Rwanda. The ministry thinks that win or lose, we still have qualified, and so the Black Stars should field only local players. But the GFA thinks otherwise. The GFA thinks that the Black Stars, the foreign-based players, should be flown down to town to play the game. Let me pick the thoughts of these footballers on what should be the right thing. I'm sure you've heard about the rift. What do you think?
What I thought is we can use also the local players because we can motivate them. So we need to encourage most of the players because now the Ghana football is down. And secondly, when we motivate the local players, maybe they can give them the morale. Maybe sometimes we don't need the Black Stars, the professionals, always professionals. And now we've qualified, and I don't know why the GFA need to call the professionals, because and what Van der Poy is saying, we don't have the money now and we need to go to Africa. So when you keep this money and we call the local players, I think that will help the Ghana football too.
Okay, I'll come back to you, but let me talk to you as well. What do you think?
The whole issue, it doesn't even make sense that we have already qualified to pay money for professional players to come while there are players here who can play the match. So it doesn't even make sense. That question shouldn't arise at all.
The argument is that these foreign-based players are the ones who played all the qualifiers, and so if you've already qualified and there's a last game to play, they still need to play. They still need to come down and play that game. What do you think?
Well, unless there's a rule from FIFA, if there's no rule like that, then the local players should not even one professional should come down, because we win or lose, we already qualify. So it doesn't make sense.
No, that's not an idea for the footballer. And any footballer who is playing a ball knows that, okay, sometimes he needs a rest, and we have many footballers ahead. Now we are going to Africa Cup, and if you lose your local players, we can keep them too, because in Ghana always we think about the professional, and the football is coming down. And
the other part is that they have agreed to come down. The foreign-based players say they'll fund the fares for them to come down. Now, are you saying that if you don't have money to pay, I'll pay for you?
I've said that because we have many football, and he himself, he cannot play because he have injury. And if you watch,
he's the deputy captain.
Yeah, I know, but we've qualified already. What are they coming to do? They have more assignment there.
It's not a matter of fund or something like that. It's a matter of principle. Now we are talking about what they call the local players. They need exposure. We need to see them. We need to know what they are. And this is opportunity.